Good evening. Nice to see you, nice. I feel like this is a weird camera angle, but if I go like that, the kitchen's in. And yeah, that's not right. Sorry, this is a very weird camera angle. That looks really distorted, but that's the way of it, isn't it? I should shut that door. You can just look at my beautiful trousers while I do that. So good evening. Nice to see you. To see you, nice. Is everything working? I think so. Uh-oh. Yes. I thought I hadn't changed internet then. That would really screw things up. So welcome to Livestream. If this is the first live stream you've ever been on, I shall just quickly inform you how it works. You can ask me questions through Skype, and my Skype address is Cairns12. And you really kind of have to ask the questions while I'm live on YouTube, because otherwise it all kind of like gets hidden in the chat if you do it before. You can call in or you can write the question. If you call in, please have a headset and microphone and make sure that you've got a good internet connection. And you'll be listening and speaking to me through Skype rather than YouTube. That can sometimes be a little confusing. I do these talks every Sunday at 6 p.m. French time. I did used to do them Wednesdays and Sundays, but I'm currently only doing it Sundays. What else is there? If you're wanting to book a retreat with me, the next retreat I have is, oh gosh, I've forgotten the dates of it. At the end of August. I haven't put this on my website yet. Let's see if I have a message in here with the dates on it. I think it's the 25th of August. Maybe it's the 30th of August. I will get back to you on that. It'll go up on my website soon. And it's a tantric and non-duality retreat. I'm not teaching the tantra, I just teach non-duality. So there's another teacher on the retreat, and in the mornings, more than likely, I don't exactly know how it will be, in the mornings there'll be tantra taught, and in the afternoons non-duality. It might be the other way around. Yeah. And I think already 16 of the 25 paces are booked up. But I mean, I don't know what it's going to be like this summer, whether we're going to be open or not for the retreat. That's down to you to decide. And then I also have a retreat now. So the May retreat's been moved in Spain till the 18th to 25th of October. And you can find that on my website. I always like to begin the talks with sitting in silence. So you're very welcome to sit in silence with me. Some people find it really hard sitting in silence and they've never done anything like this before. It's always been do something. So I'll give you a couple of meditation techniques that you can use if you want to use. But just notice that even though I'm seemingly giving you prescription, there can never be prescription. It can only be a description of what can or can't, or what might or might not happen. So I give you the meditation technique, and it's down to life as to whether you do it or don't do it. It's not you. You're not actually an independent doer that's doing it. And also this won't lead you to non-duality, because who would be this person separate from non-duality? Non-duality already is. It's here. Like, how can it lead a person to non-duality? So these are the different meditation techniques. That number one is you can do mindfulness of breathing, which is on each in-breath, you count. So when you breathe in, you count 1, out. Next breath in, 2, out. Next breath in, 3, all the way up to number 10. And then once you've got to number 10, you start at number 1 again. This is called the mindfulness of breathing, and it's cultivating attention onto personal awareness. So it's helping you focus your mind. The next exercise I give to you is moving your attention into the I am. You have to know what the I am first is to be able to do that, but it's just keep repetitively moving the attention into the present moment, or that sense of being. Then the next exercise that I give is just sitting for no reason, just sitting there and letting the mind wander and do whatever it wants to do. Nice. Okay, we begin. Sorry. Khaleesi. No. Khaleesi. Okay. Hello, you can come out of meditation now. I am so sorry about the somebody barking in the middle of the meditation. I'm sure that really scared the living daylights out of some people. I apologize. I think she does it on purpose. I think she knows. She's like, there's like 100 people in that box thing. They're all sitting at their box thing, sitting silently. I'm going to show them what's what. So my apologies. So what title did I give today? I've forgotten. The title today, open-minded versus non-judgmental. Open-minded versus judgmental. Does it matter in non-duality? From my personal opinion, I think that if you're really judgmental, then it's unlikely that that contracted sense of self has disappeared. Like, I think that very judgmental thinking comes from seeking and from like a contraction. But in the end, nothing really matters. And life always loves to contradict everything. So maybe there can be judgmental people that have an energetic shift. Like, really, it's not dependent on anything. But I just get the sense that afterwards they wouldn't be judgmental, because there would be such a disidentification with thinking. Like, there might be judgments that appear because that's what happens, but there wouldn't be a holding on to them. That I kind of like get the impression that judgmental means that it's very like narrow thinking. And contracted thinking. This is real and that is real. And it could be, but it tends to be that the person relaxes a lot and the person becomes open-minded prior to the energetic shift. That's my experience. They're very detached from the mind. For a lot of people, they just become more and more happy, and in becoming more and more happy, in a way, you've got less and less judgments about the way things are. What sparked me to create this title was that last week two things happened which inspired me to talk about this. Is that I think I said in the talk something like, I don't really like socialized, or I'm an introvert and I don't really like being center of attention. Like, I prefer being by myself, or when I'm in groups, like being in the background. I don't really like being, like, I'm not really an extrovert. And a lot of people wrote to me after that saying they're surprised I haven't got over that. And they're surprised that that would appear. And that was one thing. And then the next thing that made me think about this was a conversation that happened on my last YouTube video. I don't often read comments, and for some reason, I ended up reading a conversation between two men, and it might be deleted now, so it might not still be there. And it was interesting, the projections and judgments that were put onto me. It was interesting reading that. And to me, from my side of things, I don't appear as someone to you. Like I just sit and do these talks, and I don't really think about the fact that you're listening or that there's anybody listening. I just do the talks, and then that's the end of it. Then I'm on to the next thing of what else I'm doing. And it's interesting watching or reading people's ideas about yourself. Not that that doesn't happen a lot. It's not that this conversation was something different to what I'd read before, but it made me realize like these two different things, these judgments that people have towards either enlightenment, freedom, or the importance of other people in their life, like so the importance of this teacher or this person. And all of these in a way are judgments, and there's nothing wrong or right of that, but none of it has any relevance. So say if you judge me as free or not, what does it matter in this moment? So if your mind is more into judgments, it will be really important to you. Or you might argue that I'm more free than this teacher, or this teacher's more free than that. And what does this actually matter here? Like, I don't care if I'm awake or not. Like, so why do you care? Because you're not inside me. You more than likely care because I become something of importance to you and you want to follow that. But is that is that not balanced? It's not about balance or not, but it's just seeing those thoughts for what they are, like the idea of following someone or putting someone up on the pedestal or putting someone down on the pedestal or thinking someone's right or thinking someone's wrong. Like all of these are judgments, and judgments appear, they always appear. Like I can judge that's a chair, I can judge that that person is being inappropriate and not to speak to them. But it's when we hold on to them and that we believe that they're true, that they become our seeking and our suffering. Like, so we need a teacher that behaves in a certain way. We need an idol that behaves in a certain way. Or we need this person to behave in a certain way, or that person to behave in a certain way. Or we need it to look like this or that. Even if you take it away from the idea of teachers and you just come to your environment, like the judgment that you need a better environment, that you need more cushions around your environment, that you need better clothes, that your clothes aren't good enough. All of these are judgments, and they're okay. Like if you didn't have them, then the house maybe wouldn't look as nice as it looks. But none of them are true and none of them are important. And it's just seeing through it all. Like what the mind's always doing is it's trying to it's like in the background thinking away, and it's always like, hello, I'm here. And it's trying to put things up as important. Like this is important, that is important, this is the way it should be or shouldn't be. And the problem is so when I was reading these comments about myself, like people writing that I'm surprised I'm not over being an introvert, and these other comments about me and what I did do or didn't do, I forgot what I was talking about. Oh yeah, the problem with judging me like that is that you judge you like that. So everything that you're judging the external world with, you're always seeing your internal world with. It's just you're not conscious of it. So you're either doing it to make you feel superior or inferior. So superior or inferior. And it creates certain emotions and you want certain things. And it's all a game playing by the mind, being like, look at me, I am here, ooh, ooh, ooh. And then there's a belief in it. none of it matters. Like nothing really matters. Like what does it matter what apartment you're in or where you live or what you do? Like the only thing that really matters is this moment. Everything else is nice. It can be nice or it can be unpleasant, and you move towards that which is nice, but it doesn't matter in the end. What matters is what's happening, and that's what gets lost in all these ideas about what enlightenment looks like. Like you need to be this, you can't be an introvert, you can't say this or you can't do that. And I understand in the beginning it becomes necessary to identify like inappropriate behavior, like obsessive thinking or being an asshole. But then there comes a point where it all becomes irrelevant. And even if that's happening, like, so even if you're getting angry, it's not about whether it's enlightened or not enlightened, because that's about creating an identity for you. It's this immediacy with it that's important, this presence, this absence of seeking, the absence of trying to avoid what's happening. In fact, there isn't a good or bad. Like right here, there isn't good or bad. And that's what I try to pop, this illusion that you have to not be angry, this illusion that you have to be a particular way, because all of that creates seeking. It is totally okay to be the way you are. And you can question it when it comes from like a seeking perspective. And then when it comes from a seeking perspective is this agitation, this avoidance, this not wanting to acknowledge what's happening right now. This blaming, it could be all types of things. And it feels out of line with who you are. So who are you? So there is this person displaying preferences. And then there is this alive presence that's experiencing. That's not bound to a body, that's not bound to a thought, that's not bound to a judgment, it's not bound to time. It's right here. And then the person is always seeking to be something. It's always trying to get to something, to be something. I'm going to be enlightened. I'm going to no longer experience anger. I'm going to no longer judge. I'm going to be in the moment all the time. I'm going to do what Lisa says. I'm going to be like Muji. I'm going to one day be a teacher. And all of this is creating an identity. And then here you are, right here, right now in this. And all of these thoughts and feelings come with hooks. And there's either a hook into them and then involvement into this illusory self, or they just pass through like empty clouds. And there is no good and bad. Like anger can be necessary. Frustration can be necessary. Insecurity can be necessary in the human world. Just letting that person be as it is, totally out of control, no longer trying to control it to be something, just letting it be as it is. It's this surrender, this absolute giving up of trying to be something. Be. Okay, we can go to questions now. I don't have any more to say. Sometimes I have lots to say, sometimes not. That light is really funny, like when the light comes in, I can see that my t-shirt is really glowing. Hi Thomas, good evening Lisa. Beautiful put, you are as you meant to be, never to be anything else. There is profound freedom. Thanks Thomas. Hi Lisa. A couple of weeks ago we asked, what do you think about angels? And you said angels are just stories we tell ourselves. So this week's question is, what do you think about astrologers, astrology, and all that? It's obviously a story that we tell ourselves. It can't be anything else because it appears in words. But astrology is, it does seem to correspond, if you get a good astrologer, to particular human dynamics. But of course it's a story. Like we made up the word astrology. We're talking about it, we're relating the stars to these things. Everything is a story. Like to a dog there is no astrology. To the cow there is no astrology. It doesn't mean that the stars don't line up with certain characteristics or behaviors or events, but it doesn't exist. It exists in the human world. We've invented these words and then we communicate them. They're not fact. There's never anything that's fact. And we believe all these words. We really believe that we are alive, but we're somebody inside these bodies, and we're in relationship with this outside world, and we're kind of walking around separate in a world and having all these experiences and communicating with people, and it's fact and that it's actually happening. Whereas who are you? Who is it that's looking out of the eyes? Who is it that speaks? Who is it that hears? And at what point does that become separate from everything that's experienced? You might notice that no matter where you go, what you do, if you jumped onto the moon, if you went to Pluto, to another galaxy, there's always this moment. You never lose this moment. You can never be like, oh, let me just put this moment down, just fold it up and put it in my bag, get it out later. You always have this moment, and in this moment, everything else changes. And this moment is experiencing itself. So you can't detach experiencing from this moment. This moment is experiencing itself. Everything else changes. The body changes, the brain changes, the thoughts change, the feelings change, the emotions change, the skin changes, the blood changes, the cells change, the world changes, the floor changes, the walls change, the bed change. Everything else changes, but these two factors, this moment and experiencing, and this sense of existence, this is always here. But the person assumes that I am a body, I am a story, and I'm a name moving through time. Whereas that's the story you've told yourself, and astrology exists in stories as well. Who you are is this moment. And the person always wants to understand that or know that on the intellectual level, but you can't really know it on the intellectual level. You can have a good intellectual understanding, but it's really a resonance that who you truly are isn't a body, isn't a mind, isn't an idea. Who you truly are is everything, which is nothing. And that these beautiful, imperfect but perfect bodies can never be enlightened. You have to give up that dream that you are going to become better than your neighbor because you're enlightened, because who becomes enlightened? Who? There is nobody inside the bodies. There is one enlightenment, and that's life's enlightenment, and that's all there ever is. Thanks, that was beautiful, Dennis. Next question. This is from Dennis again. Unconditional love. Lisa. Open-minded versus judgmental. Seems a lot like unconditional love. Presence. Awareness versus conditional love. Absence, preoccupied. For me, it's all one thing, both and unconditionally. This is our human condition, no matter how awake we are. I would say it's the attachment to the judgments. It's attachment to the circumstance, which creates the seeking and the separation. It's not them in themselves. And the unconditional love and the unconditioned mind is actually the true self, the big self. It's this energetic shift, this recognition of who you are. Thank you, Dennis. Hello, Lisa. Shri. Shrizi. Shiza. I don't know how to say your name. Hello, Lisa. How do you perceive the sadness of people? On one level, there is no sadness of people because whose sadness is it? So in some way, from the bigger perspective, there is no sadness. There is only life happening, which is indescribable. It's not sad or happy or right or wrong or good or bad or up or down. And then on the human level, there's the ability to comprehend in time and comprehend emotions and comprehend sadness. And generally, because I'm an empath, I just feel sad too. So if they're sad, I feel sad. It can also bring about different things dependent on the way the person is dealing with their sadness. If they're doing the pity party, I can find it maybe irritating. Pity party. Thank you for your question. Hi, Anik. It runs so deep what you say. All these ways we try to be something. Thank you so much again. Always pleasure, Anik. Santosh. I apologize, people, if I get your name so wrong. Hi, Lisa. I've been listening to your talks. I like it very much. I've heard you speak about law of attraction, that if used in the right way with openness and expansiveness, you can get what you want and feel abundant. My question is, with the positive things and expansion happening, will it continue forever, or is it still subject to duality and ups and downs of life? Thank you, Santosh. Expansion is eternal. You can't stop or start expansion. So this universe, they say that it's a big bang and then it expands continuously outwards. And then at one point it will stop expanding. So knowledge is infinite. Possibilities are infinite. Everything is infinite. And I do believe that when you align with more of what you want, from flow, from this place of flow, this openness rather than a seeking energy, that your external life will reflect your internal feeling. So it will reflect love and abundance. It's kind of ironic, the law of attraction stuff, because the more you become, you can only really do a law of attraction when you are very free. There could still be contraction or identification to an extent, but there has to be like a big amount of freedom to really do it. But ironically, the more free you become, also the more freedom there is, the less you want. So, I mean, like I don't really want a mansion. Or lots of money or lots of things. So therefore it won't manifest. But I do believe that the way in which we act in a harmonious way with our environment is that we follow this expansion. So in this moment, like the reason that I speak in this very moment right now, right here, is from love. It's like this expansive feeling, and like I want to express love. And it's not even personal, it's not even about you or me as such, even though there's some form of knowing that there's people listening. It's just like in my belly, like from my sacral chakra, there is this feeling of love, and then in my solar plexus, in my heart, and it like rises up and it wants to come out. Like this expression of wanting to express love. So in this moment, that is why I do these talks, or why I'm talking to you in this moment. And this is what I think that we should follow. Often what we're following is like a contractedness or a scaredness or a darkness or a seeking energy. And I feel like what happens is as you become more balanced and recognize yourself and there's detachment from separation, then there's a dropping into the body and there's more flow that happens. And it's still something that's expanding in me. Like I don't always follow that feeling. It feels like it could expand infinitely in me. And it's moment by moment. So in a different moment, like I'm writing a book at the moment, I've told you guys about it many times. That's why I stopped doing so many talks and doing so many events. And when I do it, it's again actually that I want to express love. I thought it might be and there's other little deviations in that. So it's like there's another part that wants to express humor and cuteness and sweetness and innocence, but it's predominantly expressing love. I think a lot of my motivation is about expressing love. It's the same feeling I get when I do sessions with people. It comes from here. It's actually in it's in my sacral chakra, because creativity and love are the same. So your sacral chakra, like that sense of, so the sacral chakra is like sexuality and creativity. So this is creativity, and when I work, it's creativity. A lot of what I do is creativity. So it comes from the sacral chakra, and it's also sexuality, because sexuality is creativity. But they're also love. It's also this like really beautiful, pure, orgasmic love. That's why when doing Tantra, you can like get into these immense states of love. And they're actually really similar. Often for a lot of people, this one though is in fear, the sacral chakra, and in anxiety and worry that it won't work out, or a sense of being what's that word, you know, when you have your balls chopped off, like made small. And a lot of people have a lot of issues with this solar plexus about making choices. So they can't make choices, so they can't be creative. These types of things. But I think these kind of like coincide with like the waking up. Not always, I don't always act out of it. Like sometimes that chakra closes and then I, you know, act out of fear but I get the feeling that over time you act more and more from that openness and this natural flow of want. And I think wants and the chakras are so healthy, like in the beginning of the day, acknowledging what it is you want today. What is it that I want to do? And listing it out the night before. Or before you do a particular item, like listing out what it is you want and trying to find the want that makes you feel open, not the want that makes you feel closed, not like, do paperwork to get it off my list. It's like try and find that openness about it, that love part about it. God, just even speaking about it, sending me into waves of love. Like, because everything, even like cleaning the house and doing really mundane jobs that you don't like vacuuming. We don't call it vacuuming in England, we call it hoovering, but I know that's odd to most people. But I do not like hoovering. Trying to get that nozzle thing around the house without bumping into everything and tripping over and getting caught in the wire. It doesn't work well for the build-up of this body. But if that's what the destiny is, then there's a surrender to it. And you can even open up to that. Like, I want to make the house really clean. I want to, you know, I want my partner to feel great when they walk in and see how clean it is. I want to do the shake and back and put the freshness back. Yeah, da 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 da. Only English people will know what that is, maybe of older age as well. Maybe younger people don't know it. Do the shake and back and put the freshness back. Yeah, da 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 da. I can't remember those words, the last bit. Yes, so, and to me, so I forgot the most important part, is that you have these desires. So my desire is that I want to express love, and then you give it to life as to whether that happens or not. But I feel that when you're really in line with that, then like this is all created by your mind, which is God. So that's what you're going to experience. That's what the energy is going to attract. Like if you're in hatred and violence and anger, then you're more than likely going to attract a victim, or you're going to attract a perpetrator. Like your energy is going to attract that. So, yes. And it's all your mind. Like whose world is this? I mean, whose mind is it? Is it the person's or consciousnesses? It's both, isn't it? I mean, it's so mind-blowing, this. But anyway, whatever it is that, yes, for sure, your vibration affects what is experienced, but it doesn't really matter what appears. Like, I've told you guys many times, for lockdown, I've ended up in a very small apartment. And I'm super happy here. I had some notions, because me and my partner both work from home, and in my house in France, that we need a bit more space, you know. Like, say he has an office and I have an office, and we can lay all our stuff out properly. And I ended up in an apartment that's maybe the size of my lounge in France, and maybe a bit bigger than my lounge, but not much. And I've been living from a small suitcase of stuff since December, and it's just perfect. So, like, I don't think that there's something wrong with my desire, the fact that I ended up in this apartment. So law of attraction doesn't necessarily mean that, like, if you get law of attraction right, that you're going to end up in a mansion with servants and all this. You kind of end up with perfection, with the perfect scenario. And this scenario is so perfect here. Hello, Nick. Hi, Raphael. Hi, Isabel. Hi, Dimitri. Hi, Oleg. Hi, Ania. Hi, Lisa. I'm doing a coaching course, and today I was looking into judgment. So when I saw your title, I thought, yes, you instantly reminded me it's not important. Of course, that's the key, to see that during a session with a client, judgments appearing are not important. It's so simple. I can also see that judgments comes from seeking, and judgments perhaps even perpetuate the seeking. What do you think? Like vicious cycle. Thank you. Love from Holland. There needs to be a certain level of judgment to appear on the human level. So you need to judge when someone's being inappropriate to you, otherwise you just like you'll not walk away, or if a dog is barking at you viciously. So there needs to be like a form of judgment. But then there is like excessive judgment. But this judgment that comes from seeking. So when I work in a session, so most people, I've learned loads from doing the sessions. I'm so grateful for doing one-to-one sessions, and I really enjoy, it's one of my favorite ways. So I love doing these online talks, and I love doing one-to-one sessions with people. And it's such a teacher for me. So I've learned a lot about psychology over the year and different emotional practices and how to do this and how to do that. But when I'm with somebody and I do a session, I totally allow the flow of the body, the flow of the body to determine my responses to people, rather than intellect. Maybe not all the time, like you say one thing and then life contradicts you, and I can't remember all the sessions, so maybe not all the time, but predominantly I don't respond to someone out of an intellectual knowing. I'm responding to them from this moment, from flow. And I trust that over my intellect and over what I know on the human level. And I think that's really beautiful to do that. It's really healing for someone to be experienced like that. But I think that's very different from being taught like different disorders, different mental health, like different stuff about psychology, although it's relevant, it's a different way of doing sessions. But it also might mean that people on a lot, like mind level, might not enjoy, like the people that are too much on the mind level might not enjoy that so much because they want more of an intellectual connection, or it makes them feel insecure or something. Yeah. So one thing you could do, Ania, is like putting your attention into the I am. You know, when you're sitting with someone in a coaching session, it's really vulnerable though, because normally when you become a therapist or a coach, you have like a system you follow, and so certain things that you say and certain things that you bring up. And then if you put your attention deeply into this moment, you can only respond to like your intuition and urges coming from the body, because the thinking mind can't really exist for that long here. It's so vulnerable to do it. I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm just kind of talking and letting the tummy grumble. And don't take anything that I say too seriously. Otherwise you'll just get stuck in another judgment. Like, this is the only way to do coaching sessions. Just kind of they see that all of its words, the most important thing now that's happening in this communication is presence. Is the really what I'm screaming is love, 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 here, 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 here. Beautiful, thank you. I feel so much love and softness coming up. Oh, that's nice, Anna. Anya. I'm sure it's Anya. We might have been through this already with your name. I apologize, Anya. Hello, Anu. Hello, Lisa. So beautiful, thank you. Always pleasure. I called you yesterday, by the way, by accident. You might see that. I thought, should I write and tell her? I was out on a walk, and you know when you drop your phone and it starts calling. Hi, Josie. Sorry. How long does that off for? Thank you, Lola, for calling. Yeah, sorry. I might have been off for a while. So, but you're answering, so Tush says, thank you for answering, but what about duality? This universe is held together by extremes of opposites. So it's not law of attraction, only one side of the coin. Like if you wish for something, its opposite also will arise. What do you think? I think I've already answered this, Satush, but I think when the volume was off, so it's a little odd for me to answer again, but I'll try. I think that you misunderstand the way that I'm describing the two things. I know it sounds like a complete contradiction because in the mental world, if you see good, you also see bad. If you see right, you also see wrong. But the dog is doing law of attraction. But they don't have dualism, so they don't have good or bad or right or wrong. So if Khaleesi is hungry, then she attracts towards her food. But she doesn't see good or bad or having food or not having food. There is an attraction that's beyond dualistic mind. So law of attraction in a way is beyond the dualistic mind. It's like coming into the body and feeling the initial There's still no volume? Andy, is the volume? Works. Yeah. So it's working now. Yeah, sorry guys. Yeah, you were right. Those people that know me well, I was doing a fart, so I turned off the volume, and then I forgot to turn it back on again. This is what I do. This is my secret trick. It's not that secret because I've told many of you that's what I do, but for those of you who didn't know, you're in the trick now. I got caught because I forgot to put the volume back on. And I could have not turned the volume off anyway because it was a silent but violent. Anyway, but I didn't know that, so I just did the trick of turning the volume off. So anyway, back to the profound stuff. So like the law of attraction is when you use the law of attraction, when you really use it, you're going beyond polarities. And you're just sinking into the flow of life. And in the flow of life, there isn't duality. Duality only exists in thinking. And then it becomes energetical. But when you go beyond that, there isn't non-duality. There isn't the opposites. There is one energy flowing. And it's only from that place that I believe that law of attraction can really happen, although it's kind of happening all the time, but like it really flows. And it's a feeling-based thing. It's not an intellectual thing. It's not a word thing. It's like your heart glows, and then you move towards that which your heart is glowing for. Or your throat glows, or whatever part of you glows, and you move towards that. And it's and that's really how you do law of attraction. So it's not like, I understand what you mean on the world, like if you have good, you have bad, but that's when you interpret it into thought processes. And it becomes like this energetic thing of I'm someone here and there is a world out there. And when you're doing that, you're normally seeking, and then the law of attraction is like based on your current vibration. So your current vibration is always there's not enough. So there's always this running for more. And there's fear, so there's fearful things seen, there's the corrupt society, and then that's seen, and all these different types of things. Does that make more sense? Pourquoi? Thank you guys for everyone that rung. about my volume. That's really helpful to me, because if you hadn't rung, I wouldn't have noticed that I was having no volume. Dennis, Lisa, thank you for speaking to my questions. So here's a personal one for you. When you speak Lisa style, do you ever feel like you are channeling some energetic source? Or is this what you mean when you say Lisa is just a story? Much love. Lousy, vile Dennis. Am I reading that right? Oh no. I don't know what that says. That doesn't say lousy, vile. I can't, yeah, I don't know what that says. It looks like lousy, vile, but it's not. Loosey, vow. It's maybe your home, I'm sorry. This is what dyslexia does. If it can't read something, then it goes to the nearest words. And unfortunately, lousy and vile look like the nearest ones. Now, who created that, Dennis? You or me? Whose law of attraction was that? It might actually say lousy, vile, and you've just missed out an S. Loosieville. Maybe that's what it is. Sorry, Dennis. When you speak Lisa style, I can understand why people that have awakenings feel like they're channeling people, you know, like channeling aliens or channeling beings, because there is, it does feel like a shift from being the personal to not personal. So what was the question? But I kind of feel like Lisa and the oneness kind of merge together. It's not like I think like, oh, I'm going to do Lisa now, or I'm going to do oneness now. They kind of just merge together and become invisible. Don't really think about it. It just feels like it's coming out of love. Lisa and the speaking and all of it. When I'm speaking or teaching, I tend to separate everything out to make it a bit more clear. I don't even know if I'm making sense. That's if I can't hear you. Yeah, your sound. Yeah, thank you guys for all your messages. Arnie. Hi Lisa, thanks for your beautiful intro. I feel a subtle fear that I don't know what this life is and that it makes no sense and that I have no answer to it. Do you know what I mean? I think that more than likely your solar plexus is out of balance. So therefore it's producing these types of thoughts. It comes from the solar plexus. The solar plexus, when it's in balance, is a sense of achievement, a sense that you can do something, that you have choice. I know that sounds ironic, because with non-duality it's seen there is no choice, but there is always the feeling of choice. So it doesn't feel like you're living in a cage and that life suddenly is like zzz, 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 zzz. It comes with like the feeling that you choose to drink your drink, and that's how it's designed to feel. Ramesh Balsakar, a teacher of mine, he used to say if it didn't feel like that, then you would feel like a robot. It comes with the appearance of choice. It's just the freedom comes in this energetic movement and seeing that there is no chooser, there is no doer. So the solar plexus is that you can do things, you can choose, you have meaning, that you have purpose. And it's a feeling, it's not so much an idea like, yeah, I have purpose, I'm going to save the whole universe. Like, that's so intellectual. It's like this feeling of empowerment, of love. It's like a feeling of activity, of achievement. Like, so when I wake up in the mornings, not every day, but generally, this wasn't the case when I was younger. You know, when I left school, I was fucked. They're like, let's get everybody ready for work. By the time I left the education system, I was so like, ugh, and everything exhausted me. Whereas now, and this isn't always the case, that sometimes I wake up tired and can't be bothered. But a lot of the time I just feel like motivated to do things that I want to do, like like I do a lot of writing and speaking and doing one-to-one sessions, but there's this energy to contribute, to give, but it's not intellectual, it's like a feeling of positivity. When the solar plexus is in the negative, it's a sense of hopelessness, a sense that you can't do, frustration, a trappedness, a stuckness, meaninglessness, that things won't work out, that you can't achieve it, anger, and at the most extreme, a sense of wanting to die. And then what happens in the personality structure is you can have obsessive or, what's the opposite to excessive? It's depleted. So you can have excessive energy in the solar plexus. So somebody, their solar plexus can be disbalanced, so it can be out of harmony, but yet it can have excessive energy. So it's like a character that's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to run the world. I'm going to be the president. I'm going to save everybody. And it's like this excessive energy, and it's very mental. But then it can also be depleted, where it's like low energy, lack of motivation, this fear, like the not going out. So Anna says, yeah, that's good. One hand, there is no sense of choice, and on a deeper level, but the level of the person, there is a belief that I can't manage life. Not always, but sometimes. What do you do when you feel this can't do energy? So it's first of all identifying it. So the reason that I try to get people to identify thoughts with feelings in the body is because your thoughts lie, but your feelings don't. So when you feel that can't do energy, that feeling is very strong in the solar plexus, and it's a very distinct feeling. But your thoughts could tell you lies about it. Your thoughts could go on for 2 days about how you live in an oppressive society, and like going on campaigns, going on Facebook. Yeah, this thing that's happening at the moment is like they're gonna do this, gonna do that, and you can become a rebel. But when you come down to the feeling, you notice that the solar plexus is out of balance, and really that's a reaction against feeling that you can't do, that you're stuck, and you're reacting against society, or reacting against politics, or reacting against your parents or neighbors or friends, and you believe that's true. Especially in your spiritual world, you can really get into the political activism thing. I'm not saying that our society is perfect. Our society is based on separation, so there's obviously problems in it. But most of the time why people are getting obsessed with that is because of a disbalance in their chakras. It's not actually because they're coming from love and they want to change things from love. It's like a contraction and a disbalance. So the great thing about learning about the chakras is the body doesn't lie as to what you're feeling. The mind does. So you can be off on this whole hatred of society, and then maybe we do a session, or you just lay in your bed, and when you feel your feelings, you realize that you feel disempowered, and that anger towards society was coming from that disempowerment. And so all these stories that you were creating about society was actually coming from a feeling of I can't do it, which is really crazy. You can see how all of these stories and societies and people are motivated from seeking. And then they really go after it, and then they're fighting for a cause, but actually they're internally going, I can't do it. I'm a failure. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. So the chakras and the body doesn't lie. So when I was with my teacher, Roger, who I've talked about many times, so I just remember him shocking the shit out of me. Not literally, but you can imagine it, that it means that it was quite shocking. I remember we were like he was telling me that I was a particular way, and I was like defending it because I didn't see myself that way. And then he said, but just feel in your body. And then as soon as he said that and I went into my body, I was like, he's right. I didn't want him to know he was right. But I could feel that there was like this anger and this resistance and this like underneath like deep sense of insecurity. And this was really profound for me, this realization that I could have a story about myself, I could have a story about environment, I could be seeking for things or not seeking for things, and that actually wasn't what I wanted. well, that actually wasn't what I was feeling. I didn't feel passionately about helping society. It was actually because I felt deeply insecure, for example. And this was so profound for me. And I actually believe that the chakras aren't just in this area. That's what I teach on the internet most of the time, because it's the easiest way to teach. When I was with Roger, what he taught me was actually massage. And you actually find that the chakra points and the acupressure points for the chakras, so these are the main centers in the body, are all over the body. So you can massage your wrist and then you can suddenly feel this big sense of insecurity or panic or paranoia, or you can massage your legs and feel it like the stories are in your body. And then these unconscious stories create this seeking that goes out in the world. So the number one thing of how to do this is to just listen to what your body says. So you're getting really passionate about activism, about what's happening in the world, and then you come back to what does the body actually say about that? Like, so if something creates a big emotion in you, then come back to what the body says and just be really honest with yourself. Really feel into it and ask it questions. And then once you've seen that, you see that that feeling isn't actually you. That feeling presents itself with you because it hides in the body, I can't do, and then it forms this character that's really, say, into activism, into fighting society. So, and then that person identifies with it, like, I'm a rebel, I fight society, I'm against society, I live an alternative life, and it bases a life on that, and it thinks that is who you are, and that's not who you are. It's just the chakras are like street lights going on and off, creating these things, and then we fall into this habit of a person. So then who are you? Who are you is whatever's arising in this moment. It's just wild. And what happens in waking up is like a collapsing back into what is this moment. And that doesn't necessarily mean there's a consistent personality type. The reasons that we have consistent personality types is only for communication. It's like, if I present a solid Lisa to people, it makes other people feel comfortable because they think they know who they're relating to. So it's something that evolved as a society. It's not actually a fact. So what you are is whatever you are in that moment. So somebody that's an empath like myself, like realizing that is really beautiful, like, and really liberating, because for myself, I'm so sensitive to my environment. I'm mostly picking up what's around me. So my character, so whoever I am in the moment, is very much determined on who I interact with. So if I interact with a really overly confident person, then more than likely I'll start acting that way. If I am interacting with a shy person, then more than likely I'll start acting that way. Like, even now, I get the sense, Anna, and now when I look at your picture, I feel like I know who you are, like you live in a community in Germany, but I only just realized that a few moments ago when I looked at your picture. I didn't really realize that when I first started speaking to you. So when I started bringing up all that activism, I was just tuning into the words and your energy. I wasn't actually saying it with like, oh, I know who this person is, I know he's an activist, here I'm going to give activist stuff. Actually, just by the feeling, like that's what an empath does. So then it vades into my conversation. It's the same when I'm interacting with people. Like, if someone likes something, then it will get activated. And empaths are always denied in this society, like there's something wrong with us. Because in psychology, it's like you've got to have a really strong sense of self. Yeah. But the society thing was actually when we met 2 years ago, but I didn't remember who you were. You've got to remember that I speak to hundreds and hundreds of people. So when I first saw your photo, I didn't remember that, or your name. In fact, I thought that we were already friends. So the fact that you came as a person, I only remembered that after I'd said all the activism stuff. I is not psychic, I is an empath. It's different. I don't really know what psychic stuff is. I just feel people. They could be really similar, but I prefer saying empath because it sounds less special. Psychic's like, woohoo! Hello, I don't know if I'm supposed to ask this way through here, but I'd like to ask about experiences for realigning the chakras. I have a sick body, and after seeing your videos, I believe that exercises could help a lot. Thanks. Hi, Luca. Thank you for your question. On my website, there's a page called References, and in there's different exercises for chakras and different places that you can find out information. I think it's better that you go to that rather than I tell you like too much of the exercises now. There's a really nice book about emotions and chakras. And there's like sounds you can make, and then there's Osho. He does something called Osho chakra breathing, but that might be too aggressive for you if you're already sick. So another one that he does is the singing, Osho chakra singing, I think, or something, I can't remember. And this is really beautiful for harmonizing the body. And then there's also different yogas that you can do as well. The way that I work with people in one-to-ones when I do chakra stuff is I try to just get them to tell their story and then relate it to their chakras. So the story of who they think they are, and then relate it to the chakras and feel it, and then see that that's not who they are. Who they are is the experiencing of that. And then sometimes if the chakra is really stuck in the negative, I get them to then envision the positive, and I feel this helps shift the chakra. Thank you, Luca. Thank you. Hi, Carola. Hi, Enjoy. Yes, I did do a fart. I don't hear anything. Yes, right now I can hear you. I don't know if you finally responded. Anyway, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to see you. Yeah, I did respond, Joseph, twice. Oh, no, I didn't. Yeah, I have a question about chakras or kundalini energy. Lately, something when I'm sitting with my eyes closed, I feel a lot of the energy coming like behind the neck and with so much heat. The problem is there is a point in which I'm afraid of losing my senses. It is like my head is going to explode and that energy comes down and disappears. Is it normal? How to approach? I think that you're maybe being a bit aggressive with it. But again, like I've just recommended for this other lady, on my website, if you go to references, you'll find a section under chakras. And there's lots of books there and different exercises that you can do to help balance that. But it's really intense kundalini stuff. And so that feeling of your head exploding, you might be pushing things a bit too hard. You might need to bring your energy down more to the base of your spine. But I'm not an expert, and these books will more than likely be more helpful. I'm not an expert teacher in that. I'm non-duality. Although in my own personal experience I know a lot about it, but I don't know if that's normally always the same with everybody else. Hi, Anne. Hi, Nick. Hi, Anik. Oleg. Thank you. Great. Milosh. Wow, that's the end of the questions. I did it. Sometimes I don't do it. I don't make it to the end. Okay, guys and ladies, I apologise. I've mocked other people in the past for saying guys. It's actually sexist. I got told off for it a few years ago, and then I mock someone and then I go and say it. So guys and gals, or just people, human beings. Sacks of water. I think I shall vermoose about the hoose, which that's Scottish and it means I shall leave. Vermoose about the hoose. If you didn't know, Cairns is Scottish, so that's me speaking my native tongue. It's the only sentence I know. Ach, an I. Ach. Ach, I. Ach, I. And that's it. Ach, I, and vermoose about the hoose. Yeah, I wish you lots of love, and I really appreciate speaking with you all. I apologise about my fart and turning off the volume and that disappearing. And I shall see you all next Sunday. Thank you. Bye.